practice of listening and interviewing. And we walked next door to our friends at the Woodstock Hotel, and we said, can we ask you questions? And we had an overarching question, and we had some things we wanted to know. And then the students came back to the classroom, and they took the recording of those interviews, and they turned them into either verbatim pieces, which means they are presenting their stories word for word, or they turned them into an ethnodrama. So you might see some dance interpretations of the stories we were told. You'll hear a few songs. You'll hear some monologues, a couple poems. We're really proud of the way the students were able to listen and then take in what they heard and respond theatrically. And we did not have a ton of time to tech. We have awesome students who are always like, we want lights, we want sound. So they put it together for you. But you will see them reading. They are reading the scripts because just with the time constraints, we didn't want them to focus on memorization, but focus on really telling you the stories. So that's what those pretty folders are. You want to talk a little bit about process?
Yes, this is a semester-long process. I've been lucky enough to work with Ms. Fusco and the students since the beginning of this semester. We started in end of January, I believe. And so we go through every part of the interview. They practice interviewing each other, and we practice what it means to be a good listener, and we practice performing another person in class. We practice that before they ever go to Woodstock. We practice all these skills in the classroom, and then the students generate a research question, something that they are interested in having conversations with the Woodstock residents and community members about, and they create the interview prompts. So it's really led by their own ideas, their own inquiry, their own creativity. And then from that, like Ms. Fusco said, we go through how to transcribe. How do you write down exactly what you hear, down to the ums and the uhs and the breath patterns of that individual. And then we let them lead with their creativity, with their own artistry. Some of them take the approach that I'm trained in, where we really are interested in representing the exact words of that person on stage and holding those words and those stories with the utmost respect and care. And we talk about the responsibility that the young artists have with caring for the words of another person. And even for the students who take a more artistic approach, meaning that they create a dance piece or they create a song, we think about holding all of these stories we heard with the most level of care. And I think if you take anything from this experience, it's just how amazing that we were able to accomplish so many different parts of this process in a few months.
We've also, and so many of you were sitting here, were visitors to our classroom. And we had panel interviews, and the students were really able to practice all of these skills through your generosity, through the generosity of time and story and words and advice and all these wonderful things that we heard from the residents of Woodstock. So we thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us your words, and we hope that you enjoy. So.
New York has changed quite a bit, but in some ways it became worse in one way. You know, as far as homelessness, drugs, they're still, you know, like feeding on the system, so to speak, of New Yorkers. And it makes it very hard for you to thrive. I don't want to fight you. I'm not trying to fight you, but the system is not discerned to help unless you're way down here and you've fallen so far. The system was supposed to stop you from falling so far, but it when we gauge at the system, it's like, okay, you're saying the same thing I tell you, and I have to repeat it to her, and I have to repeat it to the next person, and the next person. That's where a lot of us get frustrated with the system. We think, oh, I heard, I paid my dues, now I want to get a little bit of what I paid in the system back so I can enjoy what time I have left. I think that's kind of what the city has lost. It lost the innocence of people, and it makes it very hard to thrive. If you can make it here in terms of life, you can go anywhere in the world, literally, because you know, hey, when I was growing up and the school people, and they say to you, when you were growing up, certain things happen in your life, man, I don't ever want this to happen again. So I'm going to do my best to make sure for yourself saying, moving forward, I don't want this to happen again. I think that's kind of what the city has made it difficult for us to understand. And, you know, people are like, I just want to live. I'm not trying to hurt nobody. I don't want nobody to hurt me. And our dealings, if we cross paths, hello, how you doing? That sort of thing. I think that's what we're looking for.
Back then, it was different. Not like now, it was a mix. Veterans from wars, World War II, Korea. People who saw hell and came back to build peace in the projects. Asian, Caribbean, Italian, black, white, we're all just neighbors. Playing tag in the courtyards, sharing sugar through the walls. Respect wasn't the rule, it was the rhythm. But then the crack came. 80s hit hard, pipes on the pavement, dreams folded into tiny glass tubes. Sidewalk smoke sorrow, and I said, I'm out. Denver, Colorado. 7 years of silence, mountains instead of sirens, but still, the Bronx was in my bones. I came back. Didn't love Giuliani, but he cleaned it up. Bloomberg, he made the city shine, and made the poor pay for the light. 8th Avenue, man, it used to bite. Used to breathe, now it's just expensive. Jackson Heights still got that edge though. Girls on the strip, don't care if it's winter, don't care if it's swelter. They hustle, no shame in survival, none. And me, I'm 76 now, and I've watched the city rise and fall, and rise again, over and over, like the tide under bridges, like music in the subway, like the heartbeat of the Bronx. Still standing, still boogies, still brown brick proud, still Edenwald strong. Where stories stack like buildings, heavy, honest home.
I lived in New York all my life. I lived in other states, but I always come back to it. I don't know what it is. It's an attraction. A lot of people who leave come back. I always come back to it. I don't know why, but I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of this city, especially living here. It's rough. I didn't think Times Square was so active. It's rough. It's rough out here. And then the crime. There's a lot of crime around here. I've never seen Midtown considered the hood, but Midtown is the hood now. And I know they're talking about building a casino over here. No one. That's a whole new element, you know? A gambler is a gambler, and the gambler is going to do what he has to do to get that money. And I'm a little worried about the crime level.
from where I lived. There were all abandoned buildings, people were living in there. There were fire trucks all the time because they were lighting fires to get warm. And on the street corners, there were drug dealers and prostitutes. There were hardly any restaurants. Nobody dared venture to go past 10th Avenue. Everybody told me I was a fool to move into the neighborhood, but I was not happy. Previous to that, I was living up in Washington Heights, and I was never happy there because there was never anybody on the street. I always felt fearful, coming home at night, even though I only had 4 blocks to walk. There was one street, I had to go from Broadway to Washington. I was always terrified. So when I got this apartment, I was so happy because I felt safe. I mean, drug deals aren't going to hurt you. In fact, they made it safer as far as I'm concerned. Without a question. Because there were people on the street, you didn't have to be worried that somebody is going to come out from behind a building and attack you. Yeah. And so I was always happy to see people there. Now that's all changed. I mean, on the flip side, Hell's Kitchen is a wonderful neighborhood. I miss the old days, I love the variety of restaurants now and all the smaller theaters on 42nd Street and little theaters every place. I love where I live.
She reminded me of a very interesting incident, speaking of feeling safe. This was one of the Halloweens after the pandemic, just 21, 22 or something. I'd worn a police officer costume, and I came to Times Square, and I saw NYPD cars. So I saw a couple of police officers, and I said, "Can I take a picture with you?" They said, "Sure." So I stood in front of the patrol cars, and the 2 police officers stood on my side. They both were white, and then there's this black gentleman who walks across, and he comes to me and says, "You can arrest me all day, every day, anytime, all day, every day." That was an interesting comment, but what was more interesting was the way the police officer immediately burst out laughing, as if this was something in his, in his mind. And they both high-fived, and they enjoyed the joke, and I said, under normal circumstances, the dynamics between these 2 people might have been different, right? The man would stay away from the police, but he was a nice, short gentleman.
There are so many changes living in 65 years that I've lived there. As time goes by, we change and we evolve. And when we're going through a change now with a new political situation we have, if you have noticed what's going on the television.
Oh, I've noticed some great changes. New York was just vibrant, until March of 2020, everything shut down, prayers were lost, people moved, politics changed. The recovery is slow. I've seen a lot more violence and arrests and craziness and division.
I'm sure it will affect how we look at life and how we live our lives. And I saw a change basically in this area when I first moved here. And this was a rough area.
It's unbelievable. Affordability, the lack of affordability in the city. Well, it's city tax. Not just the federal government to me. Get me on the politics, then it's our city council, and we've got a long way to come back. But I'm not a native, I've only gone by 27 times, and that time till present, there's been a lot of change.
The reason why I stayed here was the fact that it has social workers and all kinds of economies that I wouldn't have, you know, in a normal, you know. And then you get older, you need that kind of safety.
If I had my way, the Woodstock community would get itself together. Not the building so much as the resident. It would be more the attention to, you know, the substance of drug and alcohol and behavioral issues. And, you know, I know you can't dispose of people. It's getting better. But it was very iffy for a while with behavioral issues of residents. Now, mind you, I'm not going to cast a stone. I've been sober for 5 years. But you know, there should be, to me, I would like to see a greater change for people to get healthier. You know, with their behavior, alcohol and drugs, but otherwise it's a great community. I mean, there's opportunity to get various assistance, you know, like for people to work and so forth. I'm a very independent woman. I've learned to do this myself. I still need help. It's nice to have that support. I'm getting a little more active. I like to come downstairs because I try to avoid any drama. I don't like drama, except on stage.
Describe a time you felt like you hadn't found home here, if at all.
I came here to the States for the education for video arts, and I haven't seen my dad in 6 years, and I came at 18, October. We tried to meet at Thanksgiving, but he couldn't come. He couldn't make it. He died. October. It was October, and Thanksgiving is November, so we planned to meet. We planned for him to come, to spend it together, so that moment changed my life. 18, writing back. And I spent 10 years here, writing back to Jamaica. But when I first came, I came to live with my aunt, and my father was still living in Jamaica. And around the holidays, we were expecting to receive him. He was coming on Christmas Day. That day, we got the news. He had passed away. I was in the church organist, and I was the only grandson. My mother's aunt would put me on her lap and take my fingers and press it on the keys of the piano at a young age. Music is a part of me.
What will Daddy think? It was a lot of transition, I guess. Life changed dramatically when my father died. We lived together. So the traumatic date would have been April 3rd of 1983. And that's like the first time I'm moving by myself without any kind of support system at all. So I really kind of needed to know who I was as an independent versus a codependent individual. Every decision I made and how would I be affected? How did he fit into the picture? I would have gotten married, I think, about 4 different times. And because of the living, I guess I just never got out there on my own. What would Daddy think?
Anyways, the whole time from 83 to 96, I kept holding on. By the time I left, got evicted, whatever you want to call it, the rent in 96 was already 800. I had a complete support system here. My doctors, landlord, social worker, and the senior center here. The closest thing I had was a supermarket, and that was on 9th through 10th Ave. Fabulous, authentic, sincere. What's the word? Helping everyone. Helpful, that's the word. Service-oriented, I guess. Spiritually focused. Like God, well, Jesus is my Lord and Savior, you know? And courageous, yeah. And I'll tell you why. Do you know that song is for adorable, you're so beautiful, something like that. I can go on all day. It's a song. I guess a good person. Yeah. God sent a loophole, which is what made it all possible. Through the grace of God, I don't even know another place. Come here at 55 and every other place was 60 or 62. And at that point in time, a lot of transition, I guess. Life changed a lot when my father died.
We need, hopefully, more improvements. Capital improvements, hopefully security. We do not have proper security here. They put an extra person on the desk that kind of walks around a little bit up and down house security cameras and mainly sit on the floor. We have some here, on the lobby, the elevators. What we don't have is the hallways. Yeah. Look, hopefully, well, the biggest thing is the lobby isn't opening now because there's a new, like what, a improvement or plan. It's up for acceptance. And years ago, we had basically 300 units, you can say. And they were allowing, I think, 2,600 per unit. Going right now, if you're ready, it's $25,000. Hopefully we get that approved.
Family in the city, in Rockland, all over. But they found out that people were getting the money. And some of them, they blame me. They say she shouldn't have filed it, but I should have. Because I have malpractice. I think it's frozen. Some people still releasing some money, but they froze it. I feel abandoned because I feel that, you know, I needed help. And that, so I feel the abandonment. I've been here now since 2003. I see that the city never sleeps. Everybody in a rush someplace. They're going someplace. And, it's just busy. I would like to move back to the suburbs. Yeah, but I don't know where yet. It was nice growing up in Rockland. I went to school, I graduated high school June of '96. Yeah, so what happened was I was in a fight. July 1st of '92. 30 years. And I was in a fight, and the guy threw a big rock and hit me in my head and split open my head open. So I have severe brain damage. Yes, I have severe brain damage. And I try to do the best I can, but my memory, I can't do a lot of things. Names, people, places. Trying to get back on track so I can get my life going. That's what I'm trying to do.
When I was a little boy, I was an only child. I tried my hardest, with no support for life. Oh, I keep making, I keep faking, keep pushing, keep making, keep pushing, keep making it birth of my first son, I was the happiest man alive. The sons of my network, I love to see them die. Oh, I keep thinking, I've made it. I wanted to get out into the world, I had to be on my own. Wanted to find shelter, I struggled to find home. Keep pushing, keep making, keep pushing, keep making through. If I was forced to do this, I'd do it over again. This would be my choice, you know. Woodstock is my end. You might find something better, but how much better than this? I learned to live my life, I learned true perseverance. So keep
generally, what I saw was before the revitalization of Times Square, you know, some things you see a lot of trash, and we saw adult businesses, a lot of them on 42nd and right in the surrounding areas. Now those businesses were no longer there, and they changed the Midtown Times Square area. But through gentrification, you know, some things got moved down, some were replaced. But one of the things, or the components that they forgot about, is the seniors in the area. If you didn't have the monies to move somewhere else, life could be very difficult for you. And that's what one or few of the things that I saw. Drugs is everywhere. You're not going to get rid of drugs, but you certainly can, you know, personally say for myself, I'm not going to do that and make a change. I've never drank until I was 27, never smoked anything at all.
Corporate life is corporate life, but then when you do something that you love, and you're surrounded by young people who are so ambitious, so talented, it's really rewarding. Patience, fortitude, prudence, none of which I exhibited when I was your age. I was impulsive, rebellious, crazy, and over time you learn, well, you better get it, get it under control, because life is short, and you want to be smart, and you want to enjoy your life, no matter what's happening around you.
You're not going to be here. You're going to go. And how you live is going to be how you die. And am I going to live worrying about everything and everybody, being mad at everything and everybody, not liking you because you're a certain color, not liking you because you speak a different language? Or am I going to get along with everybody? Because I'm not going to be here forever. And that's a reality. You don't think about it when you're 50. Think about it when you're 7. Then I'm serious. You're not going to be here forever. So you enjoy the time you have. Matter of fact, you should be enjoying your life right. You should be enjoying your life every day. Don't wait until you're my age. I didn't wait. anybody that knew me. This is the only life you get.
Okay, so if you checked your program, that was our BDAY Ethnodrama class. We're gonna do a quick, like, 5-minute